What's up, you Relentless Warriors? Welcome back to Relentless Fit 365. Happy Friday. You made it through the week. Here we are, headed towards the weekend. Hope things are looking up for you guys. Excited about talking about today and what's going to happen in the weekend and the future for tomorrow as well for you guys. It's good to be on this platform, and it's good to see people joining in. We are going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, something that I'm excited about because it truly is an inspiration to life, and many of these people definitely are. And I want to start off by a quote just to basically get the ball rolling. And this quote is by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. He is a former president of Turkey. He was also a former army officer of Turkey. And his quote was, "A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others." Now, I understand that it's possibly me being over-idealistic about one profession, but I think there is something to be said that there's truth involved in any profession when it comes to greatness, and those that want to be great at something, they tend to shine. I think nobody does that better than teachers / coaches. Now, what I will also put that slash and put coaches at that mark as well, because in grade school, coaches also have to teach. In middle school, coaches have to teach. And in high school, coaches will also teach. They don't just go show up and coach students and then go home. They also have to be in the classroom all day. And then they donate their time afterwards not because it makes them rich, but because they love to inspire and push and get the student to excel. And in that case, after school, the athlete to excel and be the very best that they could possibly be. It's interesting because there's another quote that goes along with that, and it's, "Those that cannot do, teach." And it's interesting because, you know, there might be some truth to that. I think that's perhaps a negative way of looking at things. But honestly, I completely disagree with that when it comes to the great teachers, because the great teachers can do, and they did well. But then as a result of that, they turned around and wanted to teach to push other people, other students, the youth in the future to be a little bit better than they were, so that person can excel a little bit more. A true teacher, the one that really embraces life, the one that really wants to push others, and coach, really does it because they're passionate about it, because they want to serve. It's a service profession. And in that service profession, they change lives. They have the ability to inspire people beyond any measure of what any other profession can actually do, because they gather the youth at their most manageable moments in life and their most pliable moments of life, and they instill these thoughts that usually cultivate to something bigger. And oftentimes, if you see somebody who's done well in life, you will see good teachers behind that measure. You will hear somebody talk about, "Yeah, I remember this teacher or that coach that pushed me to that level or that degree." And a lot of times when you're younger, you don't always see the good teacher out there or the good coach out there, because it tends to be the one that pushes you the hardest. It tends to be the one that perhaps is harder on you, not because that person hates you, but because that person has a bigger definition of you than others do. You see, it's easy to be lazy at anything, sit around and do a 9 to 5, kick back and collect a check and just enjoy your life in a cushy state of mind. And I know that there's teachers that are out there, but I'm talking about the ones that truly inspire, the ones that will plant a seed, and that seed tends to grow into something huge, and it lasts forever, oftentimes a lifetime. And the only reason why I know that that's true, and these aren't just words of emptiness, and it just isn't for material for me to talk about today, because in fact, I wanted to talk about this a couple months ago, and there were other incidents that happened here in the States that I was like, now's not the time. But it's always a good time to stop, to pause, and appreciate those that truly do serve. They serve others. They have dedicated themselves in life of service for others because they have the passion for it. And those are the ones we're going to pay homage to and to honor, and hopefully you will have stories of your own of these teachers or these coaches or these people, even faculty that you came across in your life that left some sort of seed in your mind that perhaps changed the course of your life in a better way. And those are the persons or these are the individuals in your life that we are going to focus on today. A teacher, a good one, the elites, the ones, the impactors, the ones that change the lives of others, they present the past, they reveal the present, and they truly do help cultivate and create the future. And I think a lot of times we overlook that. They're underappreciated. Oftentimes people will say, that teachers are amazing, but then when it comes down to it, we can't remember that teacher's name. And when it comes down to it, it's like they'll plant that seed and we completely forget where it came from. And that's the idea of the wick. They burn to show other people the way. They literally kill their dreams, they kill their ambitions because they saw somebody else that was able to perhaps do it better, or they had a passion to say, maybe I'm not the best to go out there and do that, but I'm going to teach somebody to be the best to go out there and do that. That's a service profession, and it's honorable, and it should be respected and hopefully remembered. So what I'm going to ask you to do today is I want you to reflect on your life. I want you to go back, and I want you to think about your teachers. I want you to think about the coaches. Think about the good ones and the bad ones, and think about the ones that truly had an impact on your life, whether positive or negative, because I have both. I have stories of both, and both were very big motivators on opposite spectrums. But one thing I will say is that the ones that truly did care, those are the ones that changed my life. And if you're in school or you're just getting out of school and you're kind of giving that eye roll and you're like, my teachers, my coaches, just can't wait to get away from them. Let me tell you, I'm talking about this 20 some odd years later, and I'm excited to tell you because this basically starts the trend of something coming in 1 month from today that I will be having a coach who is also a teacher. He is retired, but had an impact on my life in ways that I cannot even fathom at this point, because so many things that he pushed, I still continue to embrace and instill in my life, and I'm able to reveal that to other people. Just as a result of him planting a simple seed. And I cannot wait for Coach Morgs to be here a month from now. So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about your favorite teachers. We're going to talk about your teacher stories, your coaches' stories, the ones that you're like, man, I can't stand this person. And 10 years later, you're just like, wow, that was a good teacher. That was a good coach. They put up with a lot from me, and I learned a lot, and I continue to take it home with me. So it's up to you. The comments are open. I just wanted to quickly go through that spiel. It's funny because there are mixed messages about what a teacher ought to do, and oftentimes I think it's tainted by perhaps the bad teachers. And that could be said for any profession. And unfortunately, in this particular case, I think most teachers actually do it because they are passionate about seeing children into young adults grow into becoming something bigger. And to sit back and look back and say, I was a part of that person's life. And they don't want to enjoy the success with them. They just want to see it happen because just being in that small part was them doing their part. That's just the way a lot of them were. And I would venture to guess a lot of them are still like that. It's more than just money when it comes to a career. You have to find something of service. Believe it or not, I actually did have a professor that impacted my life as well. And I wasn't very manageable at that point because I kind of did a lot of eye rolls of professors because they try to tell me what the world was like when I've already traveled the world. So I felt like a lot of their theories were perhaps good to a student. And for the most part, I was pretty closed-minded when I went beyond high school because I went when I was later in years, and I felt like I learned a lot. Well, there was a particular professor, and I remember his name. and he didn't want to be called doctor. He wanted to be called by his first name, which already I appreciated him because he didn't want a title. He's like, titles are for books, and we're going to read books and we're going to study books here. You don't have to address me as if I'm a book. But one thing he did say is, whatever you do in your career, make sure you do something of service. Because service is what truly does have something where you can sit back and say you felt like you were part of something, and not that you can't build your bank account, not that you can't build success and toys, but if you don't serve others, you're going to look in the mirror one day and you're going to feel incomplete. And I took that home with me, and I always remember that is, who are we serving, and how are we of service to others? Because that truly does make us better. And that truly is how I think it relates to fitness, whether it's a teacher background or whether it's a coach background or whoever has some sort of inspiration on us. It's what we appreciate, what they've done for us, and that service. And I think the best way to honor these people is to remember them, perhaps go back to them and spend the time to thank them, because I think that means a lot. Or go out there and practice what they taught and bring it to another level, because they want to see that as well. Okay, I'll stop rambling. I'll get off my soapbox and I'll take your comments. We'll chat about your favorite teachers, and I'm pretty excited to hear what your comments are. Good to see everybody jumping in. Blue's in the house. Ninja Nina, hello. Christine the Paprika, the peppery paprika's in the house. Good to see you. There's the Wizard. Morning home, boys and girls. Good to see you, Wizard. How is it not being here every day? Is it weird? You have to do other things now, as you're probably going out of your mind. Your new video came out really nice, Nina. And that's the Wizard talking about Ninja Nina as she continues to prepare her stuff. The first one she did was a cooking video. I haven't seen the second one yet. I don't think it's up yet. Rich is working on it. Pretty excited to see that, because those are fantastic to watch. Like all of you that have been posting videos or doing spotlights or doing things on Facebook, I feel like there's inspiration behind all of it, and you all do a great job. All right, moving on. Scrolling down, AQ Chino, the Costa Rican warrior. There's Lion Cub. I'm going to see Lion Cub later today. She'll be doing the switching in the background. We'll do the workout. She said something in another language. I don't understand that. You guys have fun with that. Jesse, good to see you, Jesse. Coaching is the most rewarding thing I've ever done. 20 years, and I have even more passion about it now than I did the first year. And I think anybody who loves what they do in that profession will probably say the same thing. Even if in some cases perhaps teaching was a plan B for some people, I think the ones that truly do well are they recognize that plan B and they make the best of it. And then as a result of that, they impact so many lives. And that's perhaps the one thing that keeps them lighted, even though they've perhaps consumed themselves for others. It's interesting, 20 years later, and you still have that passion. By the way, Jessie has a champion volleyball team, and it's not surprising if you know anything about her. She's a true warrior. Petra, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. Emelita's in the house. There's Emelita. So many people going through my mind right now, talking about teaching and coaching. I have my classic teacher of the classroom and coach, but there are also teachers like my sisters and parents. Honestly, everyone is a teacher. The way you see people deal with life, how people treat each other, they are all teaching someone something. But I will focus more on the classroom and coach point of view. And you're actually right. We are all teachers in some way. We either choose to misdirect people and throw them off course and do the same mistakes that perhaps we did. That makes us bad teachers. Or we could choose to take the things that have been taught to us that were a good thing, and we can use that as fuel to teach other people and leading them better in a direction that they live better lives. I think there's something to be said about a teacher. I don't remember who said this, but it's a teacher teaches the son and the son's son. So it goes down from generations, because what that son learns teaches the other person or teaches the next generation the same things, or perhaps even on a more improved level. Ninja Nina says, Coach, Allred was my high school history teacher, track coach. I recognized how much he pushed me shortly after I graduated. He seemed to see more in me and pushed me to do better, not just on the track, but in the classroom as well. And, I can relate to that as well. When you meet Coach Morgs, and I tell you, I don't know if he's changed a beat. I used to say, you can't really tell on social media, but I used to say that he's kind of softened up. I don't know if that's the case. I think he's still the same Coach Morgs. I'm pretty excited to see that a month from now, and I cannot wait, to introduce you to him. I mean, he's a very motivating guy. He's really easygoing, but man, when we went into we called it the dungeon, which was the wrestling room, it was another level. It was just a completely different personality. So, Nina, I could totally understand what you're saying there. Is just that, years later you look back and you say, oh wow, he was focusing not on my skill or my talents, because when you're younger, you perhaps didn't have as many of those, but he was focusing on something inside that he was able to draw out of me. And it sounds like your track coach was the same way. And I think that truth could be said about anybody good at coaching. It's not focusing on just the talent. It's pulling out talents that person didn't realize they had. And sometimes that talent just turns out to be drive. And in my case, that was all I needed. I just needed someone to help point the way for me, and that's exactly what happened. Good to see you guys. Paula's in the house. Nice to see you, Paula. Thanks for joining in. Emily, to continue. Oh, there's Teresa, you redheaded relentless warrior. Thank you for joining in. Welcome. Happy Friday. My favorite teacher in high school, though, was Mrs. Cook. She was my religion teacher, and her husband was a magician. Awesome. I just remember the first day of class, she came in a magician outfit and started performing magic tricks. We were so confused, and she quickly became my favorite teacher. She wouldn't put up with my BS, but she knew how to get on our level. She gave my name a face. Whenever she saw me, even if she was running late for class in the hallways, she would ask how I was doing. Pretty fantastic. And let's thank Mrs. Cook. It's good to say it out loud. Don't be afraid to say the name if you could remember it. That's what we're doing. I mean, I don't know what spawned this. Like I said, I wanted to do it a couple months ago, and there were incidents that happened a couple months ago on the negative, not towards teachers, but just in school in general. I don't know what it is with the states here sometimes. It's been happening time and again, violence in schools and blah, 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 blah. And I felt like that ruined it. So I pulled this one and I waited a few months. Lion Cub says, something that has always stuck with me was when my third grade teacher stopped our class in the hallway stairs and told us, y'all need to get yourselves some deodorant because y'all are nasty, stinky. That's, I like her. All right. That's funny. I wish I knew her name, the third grade teacher for Lion Cub. Thank you for that, because that's always nice. It's I wish some people on the train would have had that third grade teacher that you had, Lion Cub. I missed something that Jesse said. So many of my girls have come back as adults and told me how what I taught them. It told me how what I taught them was has shaped their lives. I always do mental toughness training, MTT, with my teams that helps them for life, and that's pretty awesome. I can only imagine how good of a coach you actually are, Jesse. And it really does come down to that mental toughness. Developing that callus or the ability to withstand more and more. And, don't give me a champion that's been through a bunch of wins. Show me somebody that's seen a few losses after some wins, and let's see how that person reacts. That's when you know that's a true champion, someone who knows how to take a loss, rebound from it, and have the mental toughness to bounce back and be a champion once again. Those are the ones I always appreciate. Those are the teams that I think always, the ones that can endure through those hard circumstances. Those are the ones that stand the test of time and end up getting respect. I'm not really impressed with the winner who always wins and, they have a great attitude. Yeah, well, they're always winning. It's easy to have a great attitude when you're always winning. Let me see how they react when they go through the sludge of life. Let me see how they keep their head up. Let me see how they respond. And you're teaching them all those tools. That's fantastic, Julie. I hope they come back and continue to come back to appreciate that. And I think they will. I really do. Scrolling on down, here we go. Dan, good to see you. Dan Wilcox. Hey, Jake. We're all teachers and students. I'm an English teacher for now. The best part about it is that I feel like a student as well. I learn so much from my pupils. And you know what? That's just something that a fantastic teacher would say. Because I've heard that numerous times from other teachers that I always found to be fantastic. And you kind of ask them what their ingredient was. And they usually say the same thing. It's like, well, my students teach me. And there you continue to be that sponge. And you, as a result, you continue to be an impact on their lives. They're really pliable at that point. And the fact that they look up to you and you give them another reason to continue to drive for their goals or their dreams, I don't know, that's something to be said about you. Keep up the good work, Dan. Thank you for being a teacher. English was one of my favorite subjects. And, this is where good and bad teachers mean something. I remember having a counselor who told me that I wasn't good enough for creative writing. And I had a teacher in high school that went to bat for me and said, I'm the one who asked him to be in creative writing. So it's funny what a teacher sees that a counselor won't always see. And I'm not taking a dig at a counselor. If you're doing that, you can be the good counselor. I just felt like I didn't have a very good counselor. So it's funny how that sticks with you. When I hear counselor, I think of something else. And hopefully if you're that counselor out there, give a better impression of yourself, because that student won't forget. I do not forget that counselor that told me I wasn't good enough to be in creative writing. It's laughable now, but at the same time, kudos to that teacher, Miss Remus, I won't forget you, who actually went to the counselor, like, who told you you can't do creative writing? And she stormed over there and said, he's clear to do creative writing. She was a honey badger. At the time, I didn't know what a honey badger was. Now I do, and she was one. It wasn't popular back then. Honey badgers were popular. We didn't have YouTube back then. Ninja Nina. Oh, I skipped so many people. Let me scroll back up. Emelita says, my dad actually one of my best sports coaches. I hit mental walls like crazy, and he would take me to the basketball court and run me ragged for hours. Yeah. Life is a beatdown. You might as well start early. And yes, your parents are good teachers or bad teachers. And hopefully, in your case, good teachers. It sounded like for you, Emelita, you had a good dad, and definitely teachers that can live with us. They kind of take camp in our brains sometimes. And it's good to have that, because I'm glad I had parents hard on me, because it forced me to be hard on myself in a good way, but also taught me to forgive myself too when I did things I wasn't happy with, or not everything had to be to perfection. You reach for it, but if you don't get it, you accept what you are, you accept what you have, and you make the best of it. Sam, you evil black-hearted Sam, speaking of people who are motivating. Morning, kids. Love this one. My very first swim coach, Coach Tom, was the first one to take an interest in what I was really supposed to be doing. Plus, he never let me get away with anything. Isn't that just it? The teachers that actually call you out on stuff and you're not able to get by, it's like, oh, I'm not clever here. They know what I'm trying to get away with. It's true. A good coach isn't going to allow their players to cheat and to get away with stuff and be easy on themselves. They're going to find a way to be harder on them and continue to pull out the best in them. So, and I would venture to guess, Sam, that you took that to your clients every day, and you continued to take that. I don't see you allowing your clients to get away with anything either. That's the black heart. We're part of the group. I love it. Keep up the good work, Sam. Rich, the wizard, chiming in and saying, my old boss, Patty, really showed me how to be a professional. She was tough, but reliable, but relatable. I'm sorry, I can't read. I didn't do good in reading class. I said I liked English and creative writing. Never said I read. I learned a lot about honesty and loyalty and standing your ground when it really matters. And I got to tell you something about the wizard is he truly does. When it's something he believes in, he has no problem standing ground. He'll stand against me all the time when we disagree in good ways, and always keeping his professionalism. I don't personally know Patty, but I've heard that name a lot from Rich, and I know Patty has supported this business in many ways because he's a part of it. She saw something in Rich, and Rich has always had drive, so that doesn't surprise me. And Patty, if you're out there, thank you, because Rich is a fantastic friend, a fantastic partner, business partner, and just fantastic all around, because I've learned from him as well. But at the same time, he's a douchebag. I mean, I felt like I was giving him too many compliments, so we have to still be. Just kidding, Rich. Emma, I would come home in tears from frustration, but he pushed me so hard and showed me I was a powerhouse in the basketball court. I was 5'3", but I played the post position because I was so tough. Once again, a coach seeing the fight in you and not the talent. I can certainly say that about Coach Morgs. And I did have other coaches that were fantastic. I didn't have a lot of bad teachers and a lot of bad coaches. Morg stood out in my mind, though, because he came to me and asked me to wrestle. He never saw me wrestle. He just saw me work out in a gym. We were at a school gym, and he watched me work out, and he's like, "You should be a wrestler." And ever since that, I'll never forget it, because I know it wasn't because I was talented at wrestling. I didn't know how to wrestle. But he looked past all that and said, "You have tools to be a good wrestler, and let me shape you." So any skill I've developed in wrestling and grappling that I still use today, and I've still used in the past, and I still pull out with other things that I've done, it came from him. I never would have learned how to protect myself on the ground. I never would have learned, the true meaning of going beyond your physical comfort zones, because no other sport challenged me that way. And let me strike that. It wasn't the sport. It was no other coach challenged me that way, because I think I could have been on a ping pong team, and I think Coach Morgs, if he were the coach of the ping pong team, would have physically somehow made it demanding. Those of you who are ping pong players out there, I'm not knocking it, because I've seen some people who are fantastic at it, and I would never talk smack. You guys would crush me. Anyway, you get the point. Ninja Nina says, "I also had 2 chefs in culinary school that simply loved me for some reason. They liked to put the spotlight on me, and I was quite the one that just wanted to learn how to cook. They seemed to love to focus, to love my focus and dedication in class." And that's interesting, Nina, because I actually think you have natural skills of being able to be in front of the camera and still cook. And I don't know if that was their intention, but you could certainly do that if you wanted to. You had the personality, and at the same time, I can see what they saw. AQ Chino, Costa Rican Warrior, said, "My basketball coach was my leader through high school. By my life, my dad was always setting the example by playing all these sports. Guess I followed him, and now my hope is that Nico and Mariano follow me, and I think they will. They're always seeing you doing workouts and videos, and I see them on videos, and they're jumping around, and they're seeing Dad do challenges and surf and play basketball, like you said, numerous sports. It tends to rub off. And, kids tend to take their own path, but I think in the ultimate, they truly do embrace what their dad does. One thing I will say is that while my dad wasn't big into fitness, he was the first one to take me to the gym. And ever since then, I was hooked. That's all he had to do, was kind of like show me the way. And I don't know if my dad wouldn't have showed me the gym, would have I been in the gym, and would Coach Morgs ever see me or see something in me? I don't know, probably not. So I have to accredit that to my dad, who basically opened the door, and I started running towards it and never stopped. It's interesting how that works out. And AQ Chino, you're a fantastic dad. From everything I can see, you inspire me. And I have no doubt that your kids are going to make you proud as a result of that. Line Cub, going back to the teacher, the 3rd grade teacher that told her students to wear deodorant, said her name was Mrs. Johnson. Well, Mrs. Johnson, more people needed to attend your class in this town. Just saying. I liked her because she was real with us and made us do work. This was a CPS in a rough area. That's a Chicago public school, by the way. And yes, CPS schools are no joke. So there were a lot of teachers who just didn't care what we did, and she got me. Or she got me hooked on science and hands-on projects. It skipped over there, so I'm sorry. That says something about her. And knowing what I know about CPS schools, to know that, and there are fantastic teachers in every location, every area, you have to look for them. And CPS schools do deal with a lot of garbage. And the fact that somebody had the time or took the time to call people out, to be honest with them, and that's somebody who cares. It's not somebody who's just trying to be insulting. It's like, hey, in society, this isn't going to happen. It doesn't work this way, and this is the way you should conduct yourselves. I always admire that about teachers, when they're willing to be the unpopular one in order to teach somebody something. And a student may not like that at first, but in the long run, it's like, now I don't appreciate somebody who doesn't, have good hygiene. Yeah. Ninja Nina just going out and saying this. I wanted to read it. Emelita, you were a beast on the court. And again, she was 5'3". I believe it. I think some of the, I think some of the most vicious people out there, and I mean that in a good way, aggressive and tenacious and confident, are the ones that truly probably didn't have the tools to make sense for that sport. 5'3" is short for basketball, obviously. And you didn't use it as an excuse. It is also one of the reasons why I love this animal back here, the honey badger. Small. What is it, 30 pounds, if that? And it'll scrap with anybody that gets in his way to get his meal. Love him. And you know what? The female honey badger, if you read up on the female honey badger, does not coddle her children. She'll drag them around on their neck. She won't bring the larva, when she goes into the honeycomb to pull the larva out, she won't bring it to the child. She makes the child go in there and get stung and get used to that. And the reason why, I'm thinking, this is just a guess, instinctively, the honey badger realizes that her baby has to get used to that injection that goes in their skin to develop a resistance against it. Because a honey badger can literally be stung dozens of times and be almost unaffected by it, and is able to resist that pain. So it's a teaching aspect as well as it is just the honey badger disposition in general. Pretty interesting. But in life, that translates. We develop some sort of an immunity in many cases towards resistance of particular pain, just based on what we've faced in life. And I think the more we face, the more challenges we put ourselves in, the less likely we are to break down, the less likely we are to have this idea in our mind where we're raising the white flag over our heads, and we're giving in to whatever setback comes our way. And I think you can truly find somebody who either hasn't listened to their teachers and coaches, or just didn't have good challenges in their life and good role models in their life. So the moment something gets bad, they break down and crumble. And don't be that person. And if you have been the person who's been through all these hard circumstances, I hope you chose a profession where you can take that and share it with others and instill others into that same strength, because it truly is like the only version of a superpower that you can have, the ability to not quit. Not everybody has that. And I'm not going to say not everybody has that these days, and I'm not going to put a timestamp on it, because I think 20 years ago people were saying the same thing. Oh, people give up so easily these days. I think in nature people give up because it gets hard, and we resist pain, and we avoid pain, I think, is a better way to say that. And as a result of that, when pain comes, we run. Let's get used to embracing some of that and saying, I've been through more pain than this. I got stung a dozen times when I was a little kid. I could take more. The honey badger don't even think about that at that point. All he's thinking about is the honey. Go for that honey. It's worth it. Speaking of which, this is an interesting point. Paprika says, I totally agree. I learn from my students and interns. Those are her students or interns every day. Paprika, head psychologist over basically a clinic that world renowned and dealing with real issues. I mean, major issues that you and I perhaps wouldn't fathom. I certainly have heard stories, and I haven't had a cush life, but when I hear some things that she tells me, I'm like, I don't know how you do it. And the fact that she's learning from her students as a result of that and being in that environment, totally impressive. Thank you, Paprika. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being the teacher that you are. I've certainly learned from you as well. Scrolling on down. Appreciate your comments. I will get to them in a minute. I'm trying to get all these comments today, and then we're going to talk about what's behind me, and I'm pretty excited about that because there's a reason why I'm sharing this on this platform. Here we go. Dan says, people feed off of passion. I'm able to bust out these brutal 50-minute workouts because of you. Thanks for your service. Dan, that means a lot. I appreciate it. And again, it's definitely the reason why I have such admiration for people in the service industry, because I have learned so much from those people. And even at my younger years, I was like, man, this person can probably do a lot more, and they choose to do this. And see, that's the mindset, and maybe it's a culture thing, I don't know. That was the mindset. Even at that age, I was thinking, well, they can make more money. And the real reason was, or the real statement I should have been making in my mind was, wow, it's so good this person is willing to sacrifice so much to share this with me, instead of going out there. And I'm not suggesting that's bad, that we go out and we perhaps make a lot of money or we do great things, but at the same time, let's not forget to go back and serve as well, because I do think you're right. A teacher said this. Dan just recently said this. He learns as well. And you all have been saying this morning, that we're all teachers. Let's not forget our teachers of the past, our coaches of the past, the inspirations of the past that dedicated their lives to it, that we can turn around and give it back in some way, shape, or form. Don't forget that. I think that's what they want. Emelita says, never tell somebody they can't do something. Anyone can do anything as long as they want to try. I've seen firsthand the change that can happen in a student when you show them you believe in them. Yeah, and it's funny because a teacher has a particular ability, and the same is true when I say teacher. I'm also saying coaches, to find that nuance, whatever attribute that person has, and they find the button that strikes. Because the reason why I say that is not everyone's motivated by a positive influence. Sometimes people are motivated by, you can't do something. You tell somebody they can't, and they'll be like, yeah, you're right, and they'll move on. You tell another person they can't, and they throw their shoulders back and they're ready to go. So I think a teacher does a great job because they don't have this blanket style of teaching. They have multiple tools they can pull from, and that's how they're able to instill and inspire so many different people, because I think people are inspired in different ways. I don't know if everybody reacts well from a browbeating. I don't know if everybody reacts well from negative, like, oh, you suck, get better. Not everyone reacts well from, oh, you're great. Yeah, I mean, okay. And I think some people are just like, hey, I need to hear what I'm terrible at, and let me prove you wrong. And I think some people are inspired more by that. But a coach, a teacher, does a very good job in finding that, that balance and being able to push so many different people. I'm impressed with that. Scrolling down, good to see everyone, man. I'm way behind on comments. Here we go. I'm looking for the long ones. Speaking of teaching, have to teach a student. Be back at 8:25 if you're still here. Well, great to see you, Emelita, and enjoy. You keep up the good work. Thanks for joining in the conversation. We probably won't still be here, but you're always welcome to leave comments. This will stay public. Jenica, good to see you. Thanks for joining in, and thank you for leaving your comment. My AP Psych teacher was so fun and interesting. It was ultimately my interest in that class that led me to a degree in Psych, which in turn shaped my life thereafter. And there you go. There's I've heard that story a lot from a lot of people when I ask them if they had teachers or coaches. I ask quite a bit, because I've asked clients before I ask other people, because I think about my teachers and coaches a lot, the ones that stay in my mind. There's even people in the military that I wish I could track down. Some of them I can't. And they were leaders above me, and I was a problem in the military. I was rebellious, and it would have been easy to probably give up on me. And some of them are like, no, we're happy. I remember somebody inspired somebody else to like lay off. You're lucky. You should be lucky that Jake's on your side. He might be a loose cannon, but it's good he's on our side. And that was always his way of like, I guess, protecting me from perhaps getting in trouble for being that loose cannon. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that individual. And I won't say his name because he probably is not on the internet for a reason and doesn't want me to say his name. But Sergeant, you're out there, and that means a lot. So what you said, Jenica, it means a lot. Now, I can't relate to the AP classes, just saying. But there you go. You know, you had somebody that was able to inspire you, and as a result, here you are. And you're probably doing the same things in your life today, inspiring others, and you keep up the good work. Thanks for the comment. Sam says, my college coach, Carol, saw that I wasn't swimming as fast as I could. She pulled me out, put me behind a girl that qualified for the Olympics, and told me to stay on her feet. That's fantastic. Never look back. Yeah, there you go. I think your coach had some thought highly of you compared to perhaps what you thought of yourself. Yeah, that's a coach of that's a coach that you want. That says, hey, let's put you up against the best and let's see what you fare. Yeah, that's fantastic. That gave me the chills. Nina, I don't think if it's because there is 4 girls in our family and dad wanted a son, but he was always teaching us life lessons about cars, sports, skeet. That's pretty funny, skeet shooting, video games. But he also taught me my greatest lesson, to never take my eyes off the prize. He always said to push through and conquer whatever life throws at you. Eye of the tiger is what he tells me still today. Yeah, I laugh at Eye of the Tiger because it's probably my favorite movie. That's a Rocky quote, and a Rocky song, by the way. And the series of Rocky movies, I grew up with that. So yeah, that means a lot. Says something about your dad that he was a Rocky fan. And certainly staying focused on finishing. You know, it's funny, Nina, and a lot of people on this platform can certainly relate, I would say. I can't inspire you enough to try for something that you don't think you can finish. If I can motivate anybody to do anything, try an adventure race that lasts for 2 or 3 days or 24 hours even, because you'll see, even if you don't finish, and it's okay if you don't finish, but even if you don't finish, you're going to learn something about yourself that you didn't know. I would venture to guess you'll do it again, and you're always going to get that bug. You're going to get the smells from the winter or the training, and you're going to be reminded by that, and you're going to continue to push. I don't know. Give it a shot. Sometimes when you push yourself physically, mentally, you're developing strengths, but you end up, seeing something about yourself that you didn't even know existed. You open new doors. And, sometimes that's all it takes. Sam said it was hard keeping up with that girl. The Olympics, keeping up with her, the fact that you kept up with her. That says something about your coach to be able to see your ability. And it says something about you as a swimmer. You're on my side. All right, scrolling down. Carrie Avia just joining in. Good to see you guys. Via the Powerhouse and Carrie Fit Mama Bear joining in late. No problem. This video ain't going anywhere. You can always go back, and we're still going anyway. Holly, there's Holly. So that's me, 100. You can tell me I can't, and it pissed me off so that I will show you that I can. I think because I honestly didn't get what you all got. I was usually told to just quit, and that I couldn't do things. I had to learn to believe in myself, and that's fantastic. Holly, believe it or not, that I dealt with that too. I think a lot of people have had people in their life that they felt like that was best for you to hear those things, and that's a shame, because what they're usually doing is they think they're protecting you, and in fact they're hurting you. It's better to fail. It's better to at least take a shot at something and fall on your face than to always wonder and then to look back. And good for you, Holly, for ignoring that. I think you're in a group of like-minded people who can certainly relate to those negative people. And you turned a positive into it because you're that person that usually does find a way to get it done. It pissed you off, you said. And I believe that, which is why I know when you do your Spartan this year, you're going to crush it and you're going to want to be challenged even to a more degree. You're probably going to challenge yourself even further beyond that. And I'm not saying it's always going to be physical, but it will show you where you can go even beyond that. Again, like I said, it opens new doors. Kudos for you for not listening to that stuff or listening to it, but creating a positive out of it. That's what it takes. Nina says, I'm so rebellious that every time I've been told I can't do something, I will prove you wrong. And the amount of people that have told me that handling 3 kids alone. Yeah, it's funny. The people that haven't been through as hard of circumstances as you will tend to have a lot of opinions about your hard circumstances. And that's always laughable to me, which is why it's laughable when people are giving me advice about whether it be fitness or whether it be, this business or things that I can accomplish or go through. Most people these days who know me, I don't get a lot of that because they know me and they know that I'm pretty much, I can hold my own. But it's funny because you deal with that as you grow up because, I'm older, I know more. Well, maybe, or maybe you haven't learned anything. Age and in years aren't necessarily wisdom. It's what you do with that knowledge and what you turned yourself into. Is it wisdom or not? Did you learn from your mistakes? And some people have learned to not do anything. And they've learned to basically sit on the sidelines and take the easy route. Well, if you took the easy route, you don't really have the right to dole out advice, except that's usually when you usually get the advice from those people. I don't find it hard to believe, Nina, that you're rebellious. I'm sorry. And again, that says something about the people on this platform. I think a lot of people relate to one another in some way, shape, or form, which is why you're here. And I love that about you guys. Sam said, just yesterday I had a client come to me and tell me how far she has come and how much she has changed because of her training and how good she feels. There you go. And I know that's the small part of why Sam does what she does. And it's more than just making a paycheck. It's more than just making your dreams come true physically or toys. It truly is the reason why I think a lot of people choose fitness to be a part of because they relate to a lot of that. And yeah, absolutely. Good for you, Sam. Scrolling down, Julie says, same for me, Holly. I didn't have a teacher or coaches that inspired me, but it has made me want to be sure I was being that in someone else's life. And Julie, that's interesting to see that because of how driven you seem to be every time you're on video, every time, I see you in the comments section. Yeah, that makes it even more difficult when you can't seem to find that person that was there, and yet you can still turn around and be that person. It's sort of like, maybe there's somebody who grew up and didn't have good parents or didn't have parents or didn't have a dad and wanted to turn around and be the best dad possible. That says something. That says something about that individual because you chose not to pick your pathway that was laid out for you. You chose to pick a pathway that you saw as a better way, and you made it better for others as a result of that. That takes a lot of mind strength. That takes a lot of determination. That takes a lot of willpower. That takes a lot of confidence. And you have that. You certainly do. And thanks for keeping your head down and continuing to grind through it because it's a pleasure knowing what I know about you, of what you do to inspire. And yes, I agree with Jesse. You are amazing. There's a reason why we call you the Ripper. A fighter, a grappler, a scrapper, someone who knows how to take a few and give them back. Good for you. Avia, my motivation every day is to be that person for my kids and those around me, and your work ethic speaks for itself. You show me someone who's got good work ethic in the gym. It's my theory. In fitness, let me just say in fitness because I think that says more. And I'll show you someone who's got a good work ethic in life. You know, it's maybe I shouldn't be so judgmental, but it's a question I would ask somebody if they wanted to work for this company. What's your workout plan like? Because if you're not working out, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not putting your health in the number one spot, chances are you're probably going to let other things slip as well. I think fitness says a lot, and I see your work ethic, Avia, and what you do and how you sculpt yourself and your mind, your body and your mind together. Yeah, there's no doubt you're a good example. Your work ethic alone proves that. And you are going to have some very strong kids. Nina is right. Jake, this has been awesome. Got to get going. Have an appointment to have my shoulder looked at. Love all you warriors. Have an awesome day. Sam, I hope your shoulder's all right. And yeah, keep us up to date on that. Have a good weekend, Sam. And good to see you. Keep crushing your clients. Keep breaking their souls, but making them stronger. Breaking their spirits, I should say. Like, oh, I'm good. No, you're not. Keep breaking them down so they know they can keep building back up. Because we're never going to be here. We're always going to be here. And that's where we should be. We should always be wanting to grow. Sometimes we don't always see that. We need somebody to keep beating us down. Julie said, I homeschooled all three of my kids, and I love the relationship we have now because of it. My kids are my life. And yeah, that says something. My sister has 5 kids, and I know that, well, I don't personally know. I can only imagine how difficult that is, and she homeschools too. Tough to do, but I could see the rewarding backlash of that. Backlash in a good way. Maybe a poor choice of words. But certainly can see what it can do for the relationship, because I see it with my sister. So yeah, kudos for you to, like, they're going to look to you as their teacher, and it's going to truly be, it's going to shape their lives, and hopefully they're a reflection of you, because that truly will be a good thing for everybody that surrounds them. Trust me. Scrolling down. If I skip someone, I apologize. Sometimes there's new comments. It drives down. But here's the next one. Carrie, I wish I could say I've had that effect on people. Maybe I have, but I haven't heard that. Definitely one of my new goals as a leader. And I trust me when I tell you this. I believe you have been that impact on people. And I would say some people just aren't as grateful. You know, I think that other people have seen you on this platform and have already said you were an inspiration. Now, in your life outside of this internet world, and I think there's some more personal touch in the internet world than people give it credit for, but even outside the internet world, when you're facing things and you're in the hospital and you're helping people, they appreciate it. I just think sometimes people walk away and they forget. It's the same truth when we as students leave the classroom and like, man, that teacher was awesome. And then we forget about them. You have shaped it. That's the one thing where it's like, that's truly where people who are in the service industry are like candles. They don't always get to see the light that they have been showing others, because not every student is going to come back to them and say thank you. Not every person who becomes a success as a result of the seed that they planted is going to appreciate it or even remember them. But nevertheless, they continue to do it. They continue to grind. They continue to burn their candle so that others will see the way. And that, to me, is a service that is just completely overlooked. And that's one of the reasons why I want people to remember it. I appreciate Carrie bringing that up, because I think a lot of teachers will sit back and say, yeah, I wish more students would come back to me and show me what they're doing. I wish more people would just tell me what they appreciated, what I did. You know, I think sometimes us as students, we're like, man, maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I didn't reach what that teacher or coach thought I could reach, so I'm a little embarrassed. And to that, I would say no. I would say no. The teacher, the coach saw not talent in you, but something else inside. And if you're making an impact on other people, they're not going to care what you have. They're going to care what type of person you've become. And trust me when I tell you, Fit Mama Bear, you brought this comment up, you have inspired people. Hopefully, at some point in their life, you're still young, but hopefully at some point in their life, they'll remember that, and they'll come back to you, and they'll thank you for that, because I truly do believe that impact that you had will change the course of somebody's life. Knowing what it is that I know about you and how you've already shaped people, and certainly within this platform. Um, yeah, and as I scroll down, um, it's funny because this community, all of you together, kind of like bringing things together and lifting one another, that truly is inspirational. I see it all the time, and how each other, how people treat each other says something. Whether it's about this community, whether it's about you as individuals, and you found one another somehow. And you use this venue of YouTube that kind of brought it together, and now look, there's been friendships and relationships built as a result of that. That says something. Avia says, I am also in school myself, so it's hard work, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Being able to teach my children to read, comprehend, etc., it's priceless, and I couldn't agree more. Absolutely fantastic, guys. We'll get back to this in a second. I appreciate the comments. I'm going to move on from this point because I know a lot of people have to get going. I personally have to get going as well. We have used up our hour, but I want to take the time. Behind me, you will notice this zombie resurrected sign. Zombie Resurrected is going to be live on YouTube this week. It's going to be public, so people who are not currently members on the website, it does not matter. I want to share this workout with all of you, and don't feel like you're left out as a result of not being on the platform. I always want to welcome you open arms of where it is. The platform basically keeps things going. It's the reason I had to go to that platform. I read a comment where it says the good old days are over, where I'm not posting videos anymore. As you can see, I'm still here on YouTube. I'm not turning my backs on you guys. We're working on other things for YouTube, but the fitness aspect, it is a way to keep this running. So I appreciate everybody who's supporting that platform. If you want to support it, it's in the link below. Just click on Relentless Fit 365. It's $9.99 a month, and it is recurring, so it keeps you going. Hopefully the fitness doesn't stop, but it's also easy to cancel. I don't like seeing that. Honestly, I have not seen that, which is it says something about you guys on how serious you are. This is not a program. This is a lifestyle. Now, we do have programs that you can work with, but the lifestyle is continuous, and that's the whole point of that. But thank you, whether you're supporting me on this platform, whether you're supporting the community or somebody within the community, or you're supporting the platform on Relentless Fit 365. It all means something because it keeps us going, and I just wanted to say that's my way of appreciating it. Let's let the thunderstorm go by first. My goodness. Could it make more noise? Anyways, moving on to that's one of the reasons why I want to do the zombie training. Some of that has been basically inspired. I've been doing that for years, but like on YouTube, it's always been something that I've enjoyed doing. So yeah, see you Saturday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's on this Saturday. So pow, there it is. And I really appreciate you guys coming on board. Don't give up on this YouTube channel because we have not given up. And we're posting videos. If you can still get a chance to see the poet. He's doing workouts. We're occasionally doing spotlights, but we're slowly pulling that back. At some point, the spotlights will take a different platform. But Ninja Nina giving her a cooking video, and I don't know what the next one's going to show, but it's like her lifestyle. It's like a fitness lifestyle, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. And Rich and I are working on things. And, of course, we have the discussions that we do here as well. I don't know where the rumor has gotten started, and I don't know why comments keep coming up that I'm not on YouTube anymore. I'm clearly here every week. I just don't do this 6 days a week anymore. That had to be there had to be something that kept the lights on. So that's the deal there. Looking forward to seeing people join in. If you are a part of the platform, I will see you guys later this afternoon where we're going to be doing body weight combinations. Otherwise, it's been a real pleasure. On final closing, all I want to say is if you were that student that was inspired by some sort of teacher or coach or kind word or seed that was planted in your brain that changed the course of your life in a good way, and if you are a success and you haven't really thought of that, trust me when I tell you, I challenge you, you could probably bring that back to somebody that did plant something in your brain that gave you even a nuance of some sort of positive of an influence that kept you going. Don't forget to thank that person. Don't forget to thank the one who consumes themselves day in and day out in the classroom, inspiring so many different people to be their very best, when in fact they had their own challenges in life. And no, I disagree. Those that can't teach, that's a bunch of crap, because so many teachers did so much for me. They certainly do have something they can do, and they perhaps more than what others do. I want to leave you with something. Teachers who love teaching teach children to love learning. I want to finish with that, because if you love something, you can teach other people to love what you're teaching. And that was the idea is, I didn't love pain. I didn't love wrestling practice. There were certain subjects in the classroom that I didn't love, but it was because of that passionate teacher. It was that person who had a positive attitude about it, or it was that coach that was able to push me beyond to understand what dealing with pain was all about, that I started to love the process of it. And one thing that my coach would always say is, like, nobody loves pain. Nobody loves practices. They shouldn't. It's supposed to be painful. Practices are supposed to suck, but everybody loves getting their hand raised. And if you know anything about wrestling, you will know that getting your hand raised was victory. It means you won the match. But in order to win the match, it required work. And it required work that wasn't just me. Even though I was the person who would get my hand raised, there was so much that went behind that. It was the coach that taught me the process of how to get there, to get the hand raised. That's what meant something. And even more importantly than just a wrestling match was that now I understand the hard work that it requires day in and day out to not want to quit. Even when everything around you tells you to quit, you smile and you say, well, I've been here before. It's worth it to get my hand raised, because now I know the process. Guys, thanks for watching. Teachers, thank you for consuming yourselves. Coaches, thank you for pushing. And always remember, eat healthy, train hard, most especially have fun. I'm Relentless Jake. You remember to stay focused, stay dedicated, and I'll see your beautiful faces soon. Actually, tomorrow. And I'm out. Bam!